So falling in love with what is. Falling in love with what is. It's essentially the end of the search. It's the end of the search for a better moment. It's the end of the search for the end to discomfort, for the end to pain, to the end of the human experience. It's the end of the search for higher consciousness. It's the end of the search for nirvana or endless bliss. It's the end of the search for a spiritual self. Essentially, it's the end of giving your allegiance or your attention, your devotion to the tendency to move away from the fullness of what is here, the nakedness of what is here. In other words, the experience of what is here, the felt sense of what is here, moment by moment. The tendency to move away from that is a function of what we call ego. There is no such thing as an ego. It doesn't exist as an entity. It exists as a tendency to move away from this moment, to look for, hope for, strive for something better, something more, something that will satisfy more, something that will gratify more, something that will fulfill more. It's essentially a distortion of the true longing to come home. Coming home, listening, following, falling in love with the deepest calling of the being, of the heart. Brings an end to that search. When the search ends, then what is there to be afraid of? When the search ends, what is there to battle with? What is there to fight against? What is there left to overcome? Nothing. Nothing. Because this that is here is the only fulfillment there is. Now, this gets confused with content, the content of what is here, the details, the circumstances, the events. But that's not what is being invited. It's not falling in love with the details. It's not falling in love with the things that appear, the ever-changing circumstances. It's falling in love with that which is more intimate than anything, any circumstance, or even any person. When we fall in love with someone, we think we're falling in love with the person. We often find out that we haven't 3 months later or a year later when the honeymoon period ends. What we've fallen in love with, or what we've fallen into, is the presence, the fulfillment of being that reveals itself when we stop searching. When we fall in love with a person, we've stopped searching for the perfect person. They seem to be here. So the search ends. The search for love, the search for a more fulfilled moment ends. And so we live in the present. There's a vibrant aliveness. There's also an openness. When we fall in love, there's a sense of everything is wonderful. Everything is filled with light. Everything is possible and scintillating, with aliveness. That's simply the aliveness of presence, the end of seeking a better moment. So falling in love with what is a kindness or softness or tenderness, an allowing of what is here in your experience. What is the felt sense? Without following that movement, that tendency which we call the ego self, to say, this is unwelcome. And so I'm going to push it away or look for something else. It's always coming back to this, staying here as this. This has nothing to do with achieving a spiritual state of higher consciousness. So it ends that search too. But it ends the mechanism of unconsciousness. The mechanism of unconsciousness is the being driven by that tendency to reject, to deny, to push away, to look for something else. To tell yourself, this is wrong. I shouldn't be feeling this. This shouldn't be happening. Now again, this is where it gets tricky. Very often there are events in our lives, circumstances, unexpected lightning bolts that come And yes, that may be unwelcome. So it's not about being la-di-da and pretending that you like it, pretending that you want it, and therefore bypassing your true feelings. That's called suppression. Stuffing it down, pretending everything's okay, or trying to be spiritual and contorting yourself in awkward shapes. It's not. When something unwelcome happens, unexpected, the invitation is to be intimate with, to allow, to come to a deep acceptance or openness towards your feelings. The closer you get to your feeling sense, it stops being an emotion that carries you away. Yeah, because an emotion carries you into the story about it, the narrative about it. Yeah, the poor me about it. But to be intimate with the feeling brings you into presence, brings you into deep acceptance. So that's where it gets tricky, that's where it gets subtle. The love affair with life itself, the love affair with the movement of life, the intelligence of life, the mystery of life. The love affair with that is a tantric doorway that ends all separation between you and life. It brings you all the way home. To your true nature as love.